Welcome to As The Pokéball Turns, where every trainer has a story. I'm David Hernandez, and I am joined by a Piplup in the wild that just appeared out of my room in the wild grass. Piplup, welcome to As The Pokéball Turns.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and I was happy that I could meet you at TrainerCon, and you shared your story about you dressed up as Piplup. And, we're going to dive into that, but I'm going to start with the easy, fun question just to kind of break the ice, okay? So pretend you're walking around a card show dressed as Piplup as you do, when suddenly an actual Piplup walks through the door. Who do you think's more excited to see who, and what happens next?
I would probably be more excited to see Piplup. I do dress like him, so I feel like it's meeting your favorite superstar or your favorite rock band member. I would definitely go wild.
Would you go up and try to give it like a big hug? I can imagine you trying to like meet Piplup and Piplup.
Oh, definitely. I love when people do that to me, so I would definitely do that.
Really? So people come up randomly and just hug you, or do they usually ask?
Usually it's the little kids that will just come up and hug me. I still am confused why they do that, but a lot of teenagers and adults will ask me first to take a picture. So it's pretty awesome.
I think what's so unique is that you decide to come to these card shows dressed as a Piplup. And, we have cosplays before, but you stand out the most because I guess people don't expect to see a wall Piplup. But it begs the question, like, out of all the Pokemon, why is Piplup the Pokemon you decided to kind of come in dressed as?
It is my daughter's favorite Pokemon. Before we were living together, so we were able to share a lot of stories and stuff like that with them. My son actually got me into Magic the Gathering. I've been playing with him for a while. And unfortunately, they moved out. So I am a second empty nester kind of deal. My kids are grown, so we were lucky enough to move in with them again. And then they moved out to California and pretty far away. So it's kind of crazy. And I miss them a lot. So one thing was starting a Pokemon binder for her. And Phantasmal Flames came out, and I saw the Piplup, the full art one. I decided to start collecting. So that is why Piplup is the one, because it is my daughter's favorite.
You mentioned you're an empty nester now, which means the kids are 18 and plus. So you've been through all the ups and downs of being a parent. What do you think was the most rewarding part about raising your kids?
I believe it was everything. It was a good and a bad thing because I had my kids when I was 19. I had my daughter when I was 19. My wife was 18, and then we had my son when I was 21. So it was hard trying to be kids, raising kids kind of deal,
Right, yeah.
So we were learning at the same time they were, and fortunately we were able to bond and do a lot of things together and made us a great family.
You put it perfectly how your kids raising kids, because, you're fresh out of high school. In your 20s, you're trying to figure life out, what you want to be, who you are, but you don't get that luxury because you've got a responsibility. And, I applaud you for even just sticking with it as long as you have, because that's a difficult challenge. And that's not something to take lightly. And now that your kids are grown, I'm sure you must be very proud of the work you have done with your kids.
Definitely super proud, especially my daughter actually being first college graduate in the family. First to go to college, first to graduate. So it's awesome. And then my son went into the army and did his service. So very, very proud of how they turned out. And then he got out and he's working at a card store. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, so he's following his dream for sure.
So you mentioned how you started the Piplup collection because of your daughter, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And that's also why you dressed as Piplup. Was it because of you just missing her is kind of why you started it, or what was the reason behind starting this collection?
Yes, it was missing my kids. It was missing them a lot. I used to have magic games with my son almost every other night and kind of missed that bond and, messing around and talking. And it's hard when, you go into the room and it's empty and you're like, man. So definitely that's why I really miss them. And to this day, it's kind of hard to be like, they're not here.
I mean, in a way, it's almost like grieving in a way, except, they're still here, obviously, they're live. but it sounds like you built such a ritual of doing things together. You talk about how you played Magic with your son. I'm sure you did things with your daughter as well, including Pokemon. What did you kind
Oh,
of do with them together that you remember fondly?
oh my gosh, we through the years we've done so much. When they were little, we used to go to cleanups. So we would do cleanups at the beach,
Mm.
clean up at the park. I believe it was a whole group that, they announced it and they would show up and we would go and clean up. We did a lot of cleanups. My daughter was fortunately a good student, and we were able to do a lot of stuff like college stuff, go see colleges. I actually got a lot of free dinners because she was a good student. So they would invite us, and definitely not one thing. It was just a lot of stuff. We would take bike rides. It was a lot of stuff that we did that all around, it was hard. Especially like even sometimes we would just sit down and talk and it would be an hour or two and just her letting me know everything and just the words that she would just it's hard to be here and not hear her talk.
I think we hear how often it is important for parents to kind of spend time with kids like that. But we don't ever hear the other side of how much of an impression it leaves for the parents. And just listening to your words, it just sounds like you're filled with such emotion just thinking about all of the things y'all used to do together. And I applaud you because the things that I always remember from my parents, I don't remember the things they got me or the things they bought. I don't remember those. I remember my dad making a makeshift bottle football goal for me to where I could kick a football over a goal. I remember the time where we went together and fed the ducks. Like those little moments that we did
Yes.
meant so much to me. And I can only imagine how much, if I was to flip the script and talk to your kids, they would probably say the same thing, if not more like, yeah, me and my dad loved me because we did so much together.
Oh, yes. No, I was lucky enough that they both, one came to visit me. My daughter came to visit me, and I was lucky enough to take her to a show. And it was really nice for her to tell people, yeah, that's my dad. And same with my son. He came and I also took him to a show, and he also mentioned, hey, that's my dad, and it's really, it makes me proud.
So your kids have seen you in the Piplup costume, I assume.
Yes, my daughter loved it. My son was like, "Whoa, I didn't know that head was so big." But they really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Now, do you remember the first show you ever went to dressed as Piplup?
Yes, it was actually a show here in Forney, and I only had the Piplup mask, like the head.
Okay.
I didn't have the whole suit, and I just took it. I wasn't expecting like the people to be so awesome, so kind and so, hey, that looks good, and can I take a picture? That really surprised me. I was not expecting that.
So was there like a huge reaction when they saw you walk through the doors, I assume?
Yeah, it's quite a reaction that I got. Got that like head turn around, like whoa, and people are like, "Hey, that's Piplup," and it was quite the reaction. It made me feel pretty good.
Now, I can only imagine, like, for me, I'd be self conscious doing that thing. Was there any, like, second thoughts before going in that, is this a good idea or not? Like, did that ever go through your mind?
Oh, yes. No, definitely. The mask was actually done, and I actually didn't go to like two shows because of my anxiety. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, they're going to laugh at me or they're going to kick me out or, just all these bad things going through your head. But my wife, she's like, dude, just go. It's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it. So my wife really helped me, push me to get to do it.
I like how you said your wife supported you through this entire, I guess, idea of dressing up as a Piplup, right? Like,
Well,
did she just find joy in it or did she feel like it was important for you to do this? Like, I'm kind of curious.
I feel like both because out of the blue, I think it was a Monday after work. I told her, "Hey, do you think you could make a Piplup mask?" And she was like, "Challenge accepted." And all of a sudden, like we have a balloon and then a paper mache, and we're making this mask. And it was really cool for both of us to work on it and have that bond between me and her also.
And it's kind of cool. I didn't know she made it. So this is all handmade. That's what she wears. She made it herself.
Yes,
That is
yes.
impressive.
We,
Wow.
yeah, she did 80%. I probably did 20.
Oh, okay. It was still a little team effort.
But yes, after that first one, she was like, okay, I need to get you the whole suit. So she got me some yellow sandals and the whole blue suit we made the whole cape thing. It was awesome for her to take pride in that.
Now, you've already a couple months, or we're already further along now, where you've dressed as Piplup a couple shows now. And you're more comfortable now than you were back then, I would safe to say. What do you hope people feel whenever they see you walk in dressed as Piplup?
I love the smiles. I love the little kids coming up to me and asking to take a picture. I've had adults, I've had grandmas. I don't know if it's for them, but for me, it feels this like container that kind of like all the joy from people and the smiles just fill it up. And it's just an awesome feeling. For doing it for so many shows now, I feel like I'm expecting the smiles. I'm expecting people to give me that side eye, like, ooh, it's an awesome feeling.
I think people definitely feel joy. I know I felt joy seeing you. And it's just kind of cool to see, you encompass a Pokemon that people love. It's a starter. People know who Piplup is. It's not one of the forgettable ones. And it's easy to kind of feel a smile and then to take pictures. I mean, it's got to feel so rewarding, like you said, and just feel like so many different emotions. And almost in a way, you're kind of reliving the life of being a dad again, because those kids are kind of maybe remind you of when your kids were younger, I assume.
Yes, and I believe that's one of the biggest things is seeing the smiles on little kids, and being able to just make their day or even just, put a smile on them. I actually have a bunch of GoPro footage that I'm supposed to like load and put it on, and I just watch it and it's just awesome. I can't. It's a lot of work, but just watching it just makes me feel really good.
Now, you said you also collect Piplup cards, right?
Yes, I'm collecting the Phantasmal Flame one. So far, I have, I believe, 82 copies.
Oh, wow.
So yes, I've been working hard on that.
What is it about the Phantasmal Flame Piplup that makes you want to collect only that one?
Well, mostly it's the price because it's not too expensive. This folder is going to be for my daughter, so I think this is going to be the best one. And not only that, but she actually drew it. She's a good artist, so she drew it, and we made stickers. So when people ask for a picture, I give the kids stickers of Piplup. So,
dude, that's so awesome. That's amazing.
So every time I go to the show, my wife prints out stickers so I can give out.
Well, Piplup, I want to finish on this last question. It actually kind of goes back to your origin story before your daughter even grew up. And it's the idea of being a young dad at the age of 19. What advice would you give dads who are fresh, babies born maybe a month or two old? Like, what advice would you give them?
It's hard, but I would say just pay attention to your kids, keep them in mind, and just listen to them. Even when they're babies, they're just not having words, but just listen to them and watch them grow. Life goes really fast. They grow up really quick. One thing I did do is take a lot of pictures, put a video camera and just set it down and let it record. I have some of those old videos and it's just awesome to see them when they were babies. Definitely, if you can, record them, but listen to them and play with them and do whatever you can with them. Sometimes all it takes is you sitting down with them and reading a book. But please make them their priority, like your priority, and they'll come out great.
Thank you for listening to As The Pokéball Turns, where every trainer has a story. If this episode resonated with you, share the episode with a fellow trainer and follow the podcast for more voices, more journeys, and more memories. I'm David Hernandez, and remember, your next Pokemon adventure begins here.